Hello, this is Harrison Hickman, and I want to welcome you to video 2 of the 5-part video series that we're doing. This one is Before the Call, and we're going to learn about researching information and other stuff that you should do before the call. All right. So, the concept of smart calling is something I picked up in Mr. Sobchak's smart calling book. But what is it exactly? So, it can be divided into 3 parts. For the first part, you're going to want to acquire intelligence about the person you'll be calling. This means going on the internet, talking to people. You can use social media. You need to do your homework before making the call, so that way you're going to be able to ask the right questions and relate to them. Okay, so next step is using that information that you learned. Like I said, asking the questions. You already kind of have an idea of what they do. You don't call them not knowing what their company does. And step 3 is you lead that prospect to action. So using the information that you've learned and the right series of questions, you lead them to Eden, right? To where you want them to go, which is you want them to buy your product or your service because you've convinced them that it'll solve some problem, it'll help them make that profit, whatever. All right, so something that you want to do before you make the call is place yourself in their shoes. So, who are you going to be talking to on the phone? You could be talking to the secretary. You could be talking to maybe a small business owner. Maybe you're going to be talking to the CEO. I don't know. Whatever it is, there's so many possibilities. But let's imagine one of them, for example. Let's imagine a small business owner. So, what does their average day look like? Right? So their average day, they're probably always concerned about making that last bit of profit. They're probably trying to make ends meet. Maybe they're doing pretty good, but we can only assume that they're willing to make some extra money. I mean, who isn't, right? So their job performance is also related off of how well they're able to provide for their employees and for their family. So they're probably constantly looking for ways to cut costs, make some more money. So keep this in mind as you ask them some questions. All right, so step 1 of smart calling, like I said, is going to be intelligence gathering. So how do you go about doing this? Well, the development of the internet has certainly made things easier, right? So you're able to keep track of recent events maybe that go on at the company that you're hoping to call. So maybe they just opened up a new location in your area. Maybe their current supplier went out of business. Maybe things are shaken up, and you can be there to give them a hand and take them off the ground if that's where they are. So if you're able to take advantage, if you're able to be that first responder, then all the better. Okay. Intelligence gathering from the gatekeeper. A lot of people will talk to you and say that the gatekeeper is someone that should be bypassed as soon as possible. They're only there to slow you down from talking to the decision maker. Well, that's some nonsense. Okay, so the gatekeeper, they're a person too, and they're usually someone who obviously has daily contact with the decision maker. So you're going to want to treat them with respect, and probably you can even glean a decent amount of good information from them. You know, what does the person like to be referred to as? By his first name, maybe he's more casual, or by his last name only. You can learn this kind of thing only from the secretary, or as people like to call him, the gatekeeper. Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, mostly everyone's going to be on these social media accounts, and people post things all the time. You can glean a decent amount of good information from here as well. And people talk, people on the phone, they talk about what's going on with their companies. So if you just listen to people in the know, you can get a good idea. All right, so some tips to get us started before we make that first call. Tip number 1, buy a mirror, set it somewhere near where you make your calls, and look at yourself how you make those calls and smile. So why do we do this? Well, we do this for 2 reasons. First, we do this to put us in the correct mindset. We're willing to work with that prospect. We're trying to solve their problems, and we're happy to be there. If you're smiling while you do it, you're going to have more fun doing whatever you're doing, and that's beneficial not only for you, but for the customer. Make an appointment with yourself every single day to make your calls. Perhaps you're one of those people that dreads making those calls and you do not want to do that whatsoever. Well, it's probably for the best for you if you make an appointment every single day and stick to it. And you can do this before or after the peak, but it's best to set this appointment off peak. Okay. Tip number 3 is something we've heard since we were kids. Practice, practice, practice. Really self-explanatory. You can get with some salespeople. You can practice talking. You can practice. You can simulate a conversation. Whatever you got to do. Whoever you are, you need more practice. And it can't hurt, at least. Okay. Keep a record of your calls and how far you got into them. You can keep a record of also of all the names associated with that phone number whenever you called. So that way, whenever you call 3, 6, 9 months from now, you can know, you can be completely up to snuff, and that'll give you that edge over competitors, whatever you got to do. Okay, record your calls. Now, this is not legal in every state, but in most states it is, and you'll find it very beneficial if you record your calls and listen in on them. So you can find the weird little speech quirks maybe that you do that you never noticed. You can cut that out completely. And other small details of your talking that you can only discern if you're able to listen in on a recording of them. Okay, and finally, stand. Whenever you're standing, you have more blood pumping through you. You're more excited to get things done. Just standing helps keep you awake and motivated and doing what you got to do. Okay? So this is the end of video 2. For the next video, we're finally going to be making that phone call.